Have you ever pondered about the different types of pleasure we experience? We're about to delve into a rich exploration of the spectrum of pleasure, a spectrum that ranges from the sensual to the intellectual and ultimately the spiritual. Let's begin by considering the animal kingdom. Animals primarily experience sensual pleasure. It's simplistic yet profound. The warm sun on a lion's back, the taste of fresh grass to a grazing deer, the sensation of wind beneath an eagle's wings. These are all examples of sensual pleasure, a type of pleasure that is immediate, tangible, and directly related to physical senses. It's a pleasure that is rooted in the present moment, unclouded by thoughts of past or future. Next, we find ourselves in the realm of the common man, where we experience both sensual and intellectual pleasure. The latter is a more complex form of pleasure, one that requires cognition, understanding, and often a degree of delayed gratification. The joy of solving a complex puzzle, the satisfaction of understanding a new concept, the thrill of engaging in a stimulating conversation. These are examples of intellectual pleasure. It's a pleasure that is not just felt, but also thought and understood. Finally, we ascend to the realm of the enlightened, where spiritual pleasure is experienced. This is a pleasure that transcends the physical and the intellectual. It's not about feeling good or thinking smart, it's about being at peace, being in harmony with the universe, and achieving a state of bliss that is independent of external circumstances. The tranquility of meditation, the joy of unconditional love, the serenity of accepting the impermanence of life, these are examples of spiritual pleasure. It's a pleasure that is not just about experiencing, but also about being. From the sensual through the intellectual, we journey towards the spiritual. Each type of pleasure has its own unique flavor, its own unique charm. And while we may find ourselves drawn to one type more than the others, it's important to remember that they're all part of the same spectrum, the same beautiful tapestry of life. Indeed, the journey from sensual through intellectual to spiritual pleasure is a fascinating path to tread. Consider the life of a wild animal, a lion perhaps living in the heart of the African savanna. Let's start with this majestic creature on the hunt. The lion, its muscles rippling beneath a golden coat, its eyes focused on the horizon. It's a dance of life and death, a primal ballet that has been perfected over millions of years. The exhilaration it feels as it launches its attack, the satisfaction as it brings down its prey. This is the lion's sensual pleasure. It's immediate, physical, visceral. Now imagine the lion feasting on its hard-earned meal. It's a feast for the senses. The taste of fresh meat, the sound of bones cracking, the smell of life and death intertwined. This is the lion's sensual world, a world of raw, immediate gratification. And then there's the lion basking in the warmth of the African sun. It's a moment of peace, a moment of rest, a moment of pure, unadulterated pleasure. The sun on its fur, the cool grass beneath its body, the gentle breeze ruffling its mane. It's a symphony of sensations, a sensual concert that the lion revels in. Now, let's turn our gaze from the savannah to our own lives. Just like the lion, we too experience sensual pleasure, the joy of biting into a juicy piece of fruit, the comfort of a warm bed on a cold night, the thrill of a roller coaster ride. Our world too is filled with sensory delights that we indulge in, that we derive pleasure from. But we are not just animals. We are not just creatures of the senses. We are beings with a mind, with a heart, with a soul. We have the ability to think, to reflect, to ponder. We have the capacity to derive pleasure not just from our senses, but from our intellect. Just like the lion, humans too indulge in sensual pleasure, but we have the capacity for something more. We have the ability to experience intellectual pleasure. Now imagine a scholar immersed in the world of knowledge and ideas. His passion lies not in the touch of a petal, the taste of a ripe fruit, or the sight of a sunset, but in the boundless universe of the mind. This scholar finds his pleasure in the exhilarating pursuit of knowledge, in the unraveling of complex puzzles, and in the discovery of profound truths hidden within the pages of a dusty book or the intricate patterns of a mathematical equation. His is a different kind of pleasure. It's not sensual but intellectual. It's the kind of pleasure that arises from a deep understanding of the world and its workings, from the satisfaction of solving a complex problem, or from the thrill of discovering a new theory or concept. His senses are not engaged with the physical world, but with the abstract realm of ideas and knowledge. He savors the eureka moments, the breakthroughs in understanding, the flashes of insight that illuminate the dark corners of the universe. He revels in the joy of learning, in the exhilaration of intellectual exploration, in the thrill of mental conquest. This intellectual pleasure adds a new dimension to our experiences. It transcends the basic sensual pleasures that we share with the animal kingdom. It's a pleasure that's uniquely human, a pleasure that comes from the mind's ability to reason, to understand, to create. It's a pleasure that's born from the human capacity for curiosity, for wonder, for intellectual adventure. This pleasure is not limited to scholars or academics. It's available to anyone who chooses to embark on the journey of the mind, to anyone who seeks to understand the world in all its complexity, to anyone who is willing to challenge their beliefs, to question their assumptions, to explore new ideas. The scholar, basking in intellectual pleasure, embarks on a journey beyond the physical senses. This journey leads him to the realm of spiritual pleasure. Picture a monk who has renounced worldly pleasures, meditating in the serene Himalayas. In the heart of this majestic mountain range, he has found a sanctuary of tranquility, a bastion of peace away from the chaos of life. There he sits in silent meditation, his mind an oasis of calm, his heart pulsating with a rhythm that echoes the universe's own heartbeat. His breath syncs with the gentle whistle of the mountain winds, and his consciousness breaks free from the confines of his physical form. This monk, once a common man, has chosen a path different from the rest. He has traded the sensual for the spiritual, the earthly for the ethereal. His pleasure is no longer derived from the sensory or the intellectual, but from a profound connection with the divine. As the monk meditates, he immerses himself in a pool of spiritual ecstasy. It is an experience beyond mere words, a state of bliss that transcends the physical and the mental. It is the divine dance of cosmic energy, the harmonious symphony of existence itself. His spiritual journey doesn't end there. As he delves deeper into meditation, he uncovers layers of his own consciousness, each more profound than the last. He discovers a universe within himself, a cosmos mirrored in his own soul. The monk's mind, once a turbulent ocean, is now a placid lake reflecting the eternal sky. His heart, once a captive of earthly desires, is now free, soaring in the boundless realm of the spirit. He has found a joy that is not contingent upon external circumstances, a peace that is not shaken by life's storms. The monk's journey is not an escape from reality, but a deeper engagement with it. His spiritual pleasure is a testament to the potential within us all, to transcend the sensual and the intellectual, to connect with the divine, and to discover a deeper sense of self. The monk, having experienced the ultimate spiritual pleasure, reaches a state of enlightenment, a state that is beyond sensual and intellectual pleasure. This is the spiritual ascension, an ascent into the realms of the divine, into the heart of existence itself. So, how can we embark on this journey from sensual to intellectual to spiritual pleasure? The path to enlightenment is a journey, not a destination. It's a process of self-discovery, a voyage that requires us to navigate through the realms of sensual, intellectual, and spiritual pleasure. To embark on this adventure, we need to understand that these three pleasures are not mutually exclusive, but rather they coexist in harmony. The first step is to recognize and appreciate our sensual experiences. As sentient beings, we are naturally drawn to sensual pleasures. It's the aroma of your morning coffee, the warmth of the sun on your skin, or the sound of your favorite song. These experiences are not to be shunned but cherished, for they make us aware of our existence in the physical world. The second step takes us on an intellectual expedition. It's about harnessing the power of our minds, engaging in deep thought and seeking knowledge. As we educate ourselves, we become more aware of our surroundings. We begin to ask questions. We ponder over the mysteries of the universe, and thus we experience intellectual pleasure. However, the journey doesn't end there. We begin to realize that there's more to life than what meets the eye, and that's when we embark on the spiritual ascension. This is the third and final step, where we seek to connect with something greater than us, something divine. It's about introspection, meditation, and spiritual practice. As we delve deeper into our souls, we find peace, joy, and a sense of fulfillment that transcends physical and intellectual pleasure. But remember, balance is the key. Just as a bird needs both wings to fly, our journey towards enlightenment requires a balance between the sensual, the intellectual, and the spiritual. It's about embracing all aspects of our being and evolving as a whole. The path to enlightenment is a journey of self-discovery, a journey from the physical to the intellectual to the spiritual. It's a journey that each one of us has the potential to undertake. So, are you ready to embark on this journey?